All right, good morning. And as I started here, I had some issues with the actual webcam. For some reason, it's not working. So I have to just use this one right now. So this morning, I was saying that I really wanted to speak through a couple of very important thoughts, realizations, reflections that I've been having. And as we go through a lot of the courses and as we update them, I wanted to take some time to actually speak on the element of productivity and getting more things done and just living a better life. And one of the first things is that the more productive you try to get, the more you optimize for doing things faster, maybe even doing them better. The first thing is that typically you never stop working. And you use that, most people use that as a reason, as excuse to actually add more to their to-do list. Okay. And it creates a bit of an efficiency trap. And that's a problem because that is something that is not often talked about. We already have the bias that we could do more than we typically have time allotted for. However, our lives don't only consist of work. And there seems to be some construction noise. I'm not sure how it's coming into the recording, but if there is some slight sound, I apologize. But it seems to creep into all of the things that we have to do. And that is something, again, many productivity books, courses, videos do not highlight. And a lot of times, what we need to do to become more productive is actually to do less, not do more. And we need to re-examine the meaningness of what we do. The meaningfulness depends on how much it brings us closer to what we want, and also whether it's just worth doing at all. Whether it's worth doing at all. Because the point of life is not just work. And the point of work is not just money. Get that? And I mean, we need money. And there is some sense of fulfillment from putting in a day's work or a month's work and getting paid for it. Whether you get paid a salary or whether you get paid dividends or whether you profit residually, right? You have some sort of passive stream where your earnings is not directly proportional to the number of hours that you put in. Okay? But we still derive some sense of pride from putting time in, putting effort into a particular cause, venture, and getting some kind of financial reward for it. So eliminating work is not the answer. However, the tendency, especially with the number of hours that people work nowadays, and not most people in many industries bring work at home, especially teachers and other professionals. You're always on the call, especially in the medical field, by the way. Depending on the level that you're at, you're always on call, right? And that can create a lot of stress, but it can really cause us to miss out on many other areas in our lives, which is what we're actually looking for. And the inside here is that the only answer is not just optimize your time. You need to ensure that you're working on things that are meaningful. Meaningful in that is actually bringing you towards where you really want to go. And yes, you don't always have to like every particular activity that you do. However, you have to make sure that you're doing things that actually help. And not just for the argument of doing it sake, or not just for it's supposed to be done at that particular time. Right? So a lot of productivity is actually subtracted. Because as one book states, generally most people have around 44,000 weeks. in their lives. That equates to around 60 to 80 years, right? And meaning the life expectancy of most individuals doesn't go further than that. Yes, a lot will live a lot older than 80, but a lot will die young too. Who, I mean, we forget to acknowledge that fact. And sometimes you may not die of natural cause. Sometimes you may have an accident. Sometimes a force of nature is what ends your life, not necessarily your lifestyle, your health. Okay, so the point is, we don't know when we'll pass. We don't know when um, the hour will come, right? So we do not have as much time as we believe that we do. And the danger of technology, the danger of optimizing things all the time, if we lose sight of that. The danger of immersive experience that takes our awareness from the present moment is that we lose sight of that, right? And we don't always look at the big picture. Now, that position is very difficult to balance in a capitalistic economy where you need money. You need money to feed yourself, send your children to school or to college, and everything else. So the balance is a hard one to strike. And especially if you employed, right? You don't have a business of sorts, or you work for somebody else or for a corporation, you don't have as much. You may not be that flexible. However, it doesn't mean that this does not apply to you. It doesn't mean that because you can optimize the hours outside of work and you're still so hours outside of work during the day, your off days, right? And even how you really approach your work. So yes, there may be forces externally that do not make it that flexible, but generally speaking, that still is a thing because even the jobs that we do, some jobs are not that fulfilling. Many people, and most people don't want to acknowledge this, right? But most people do the jobs that they do just because that it pays them, not because they love it, it fulfills them, they get any deep sense of meaning and purpose for it, right? It's not something negative to say, it is just true. Most people get the job that they can get, right? And it's better to do that than to have none. I mean, I'm not shaming you or anyone else for that, but I'm simply saying that we do things because we have to, not because we want to, right? And yes, for some it's privilege to be able to do that, or generally have a career that you really wanted to do. But the point is that most of us are not very happy, right? Just like we spend many, many hours sleeping, we spend even more hours of our waking lives working, right? Think of 5, 6 days a week, some people 7 even, right? We spend a lot of time on the job. And the work time takes a big chunk of our lives. So the work that you do, it does matter. It does matter. And sometimes adjusting that or how you do it makes a big difference. So the solution here is to one, examine the activities that you do, the time that you spend, and see whether you're getting as much from life as you could be getting. Examine your relationships. Examine the things that you quote unquote busy with, or examine the things that you don't have time for. Right? Most people are chronically overweight, well, especially in the US, though I'm not there. But it is an issue because of how much fast food that typically people eat and it's cheap. And generally, we switch to more of a meat based diet with burgers and with other substitutes. But generally, our lifestyles aren't that healthy, right? Based on what we eat, right? And also based on how we live. We're very sedentary. And yes, I'm sitting down right now. And these things don't all go well for the longevity of our lives. And the point here again is that living a more meaningful life, being more productive, etc., is more than just technology. Though it plays a big role, but it's more than technology, it's more than just trying to get everything into a particular day or as much into a particular day as possible. Okay? So it's actually an all encompassing issue that you really need to critically look at. if you want to live a meaningful life, if you want to be happy. Okay? So understand you don't have a time management problem. You actually have a life management issue. And I'm going to speak more on this in our program that's been revamped, a lot more in depth. But generally speaking, the issue is just deeper than time, right? The issue is a lot deeper than just your time, right? So you need to re-examine a lot of crucial things, and you need to examine why you do the things that you do, okay, and make adjustments accordingly. And the second thing is that typically, you may have heard this one, but work typically expands to the allotted time that we give it. And it typically expands to how urgent it is at the time to us. So you need to understand that I don't have time typically never just is. I don't have time for that, or it's not that important, right? We all have had a looming deadline, be it to submit an assignment for a class that we are being graded for, be it to submit a project at work, right? Be it to get somewhere on time, right? A meeting, an appointment, uh, a party, a wedding somewhere, and either you make the time, you make it a priority, or you don't. Or if it's something that you could have avoided, you just let it happen anyway. So maybe if you know that you're gonna be stuck in transit for a while, you leave late anyway. So you still kind of did not prioritize it. Because if you did, you'd have gone early just in case that transit took longer, even if it didn't. Okay? So these are just some thoughts here. So there may not be as much structure, but the point is here again, you need to be you need to re-examine everything that you do. And you need to examine why that you do it. And you need to examine, does it have to take that long? Does it have to do you have to do it in the first place? Right? Do you need to give someone else that too much time? Or do you need to give them any time at all? Is something giving you the return that it ought to give you? Okay? So just remember that. And just remember that time, it's not that time doesn't exist. I mean, if you look at Einstein's theory of relativity and many other concepts around it, so we could speak from a metaphysical sense, we could speak from a right, we could speak from a metaphysical sense. However, time really is what we make of it, what we choose to make of it, right? So always remember that. And that is why generally addictions don't tend to help us. They may feel good in the moment, but there is always something deeper that we're losing, but we're just not aware of it until it's too late, right? Until we regret doing that particular thing. We regret spending so long on social media, for example. We regret not calling that important person one more time before they actually died, right? So doing more is not always the answer. To come full circle before I end this video, doing more is not always the answer. And there are times you just have to do less. And there are times where even if your action items are too long, you have to reprioritize, which I'm going to delve into in my program very soon. If you would like information on that, just send me a message and I will send you the link to be notified. But understand that again, that you really need to be open to looking at everything, because optimizing time, optimizing how well you do things, we typically take that in a silo, in a small bubble of what we want to optimize, right? And that is not the way it should be. if you want meaningful, lasting results, right, that actually changes your life for the better, it shouldn't be looked at in isolation with from everything else. So just remember that everything needs to be looked at. No matter your situation, no matter your type of employment, you just restructure your schedule. So it's more important to just than just managing your time. However, you need to also remember that you're managing your life as well. Okay? And that, my friends, is something that will always be worth pursuing. So understand, as I wrap up here, that your time means something. Whether in the moment, whether in the moment it appears that we are not, whether in the moment that it seems easy to come by, right? You have less on your plate. But what else are you not doing? What else that you do not even realize that you should be doing, that you should be atoning for, you should be fixing that you're not doing right now? You're always missing out on something. And everything has an opportunity cost. Even when we believe that the things that we do are the things that we should do, something else has always been missed. You're always making a decision, even when that decision is to do nothing. Okay? So if you're listening to my voice and this really resonates, I implore you to get help. Again, time management, as nice as a term as this is, solely won't do the trick. Because typically 80% of the activities that we do don't drive the results. It's the latter 20 that do. And you have to get better at identifying and pruning what that is and pruning out the rest. Okay? So we all have different situations, we all come from different backgrounds. You may live in a different country, a different continent, your culture may have some slight differences. If you've traveled, the things that we take for granted in one area of the world, it's a big deal elsewhere. And one may just not understand. I understand. I get that. But those factors never really change. And you still need to be aware of where your time is going, but also the most important part, the most important things that ideally to live a meaningful life it should be going to. And this is ideal for your personal but also for your professional life too, so that you can grow your business scalably and also sustainably. So understand this, friends. Understand that nothing is ever absolute. Life is really what you decide to make it. And you have to make the conscious decision to make the best out of the life that you have. Simply living to please everybody, please people, please that spouse, please the neighbor, please your friends, please your parents is not truly the way to do it. Right? Now, this is not a call for selfishness. It's that you need to be aware of always what is most important and put that first. And then, if people are close enough to you, if people are as authentic as they portray themselves to be, they should be more accepting. Part of the reason why we're stressed, we're so unhappy, is that generally most people do not do what's most important to them. They're just doing things for doing its sake. And that should not be you. Now, on the other hand, we all have responsibilities, we all have pressures to meet certain demands, to make a particular amount of money to maintain our lifestyles, to improve our lifestyles, to hit our goals, and that's fine. So, understand within that, you also have to make sure that you're living a meaningful life because no one knows when the hour will come. And I know that's not a nice thing to say, but it's what you actually need to hear. So if you're procrastinating and getting the help that you need, simply send me a message on whatever platform this shows up on and send me a message or check my profile out. You should see a link to a calendar where we will book a very short clarity call and then we'll delve in and decide what's best for you. Again, I'm Krish Hatter, your mindset and success coach, and I'm experimenting with some of these morning videos because it's the morning, it's easier, but I get to really just speak to all of you. And if you don't know me, again, I'm Krish Hatter, mindset and success coach, and I empower professionals and entrepreneurs to achieve sustainable growth and work-life balance so they can be fulfilled in life and business in order to reach their full potential. If you're not keeping track of your life, you may not even have an idea as to what your potential is. If you're walking scared, scared of what people think, scared of whether people will judge you, scared of whether people like you, right? Scared of whether, of how you will be perceived for doing the things or for taking the steps that you deeply want to take. You're not really living. You may be alive, but you're not really living. The people who seem to do things so effortlessly is because they tapped into their real essence, right? Whether that's in their personal lives, but also professionally, they're at their very best, right? They don't let things or even people hold them back from becoming who they really want to be, right? They set big goals and they achieve them no matter the obstacle. And even if that obstacle is money. And that is something that I want for you as well. That is something that even in our imperfectness, even in our even in our lack of resources, even in our brokenness, right? You actually deserve. And if you need help, don't feel shy. I know you're listening to this or you're watching and you may be going through your day whenever that you actually see this. I'm not doing this one live. But understand that you need to do something, right? So if you're willing, I'm willing to invest at least 15 minutes in you to at least help you see what's up and to help you with some pointers or directions as to what next for you, what may be best for you, right? So I'd like to thank you for your time. I'd like to thank you for watching this video and actually investing in yourself because there are so many other things you could be doing throughout the day. However, you chose to invest this time here, and I'm thankful and I hope this was meaningful. So, again, if you need help, share this first of all, help more people see this, but also feel free to reach out. And if you don't have the time to do that, simply book a time on my calendar, my profile, and we will get to speaking. Again, I'm Krish. My website is kreshhal.com, and I wish you well. Talk to you soon.